bonjour et bienvenue. Welcome to another Coffee Break French Live. Moi, c'est Marc.
Et moi, c'est Pierre-Benoît.
Comment vas-tu aujourd'hui?
Je vais très très bien, Marc. En fait, j'ai de la chance parce que je me sens reposé.
Bah, c'est
Hein,
bien.
parce que la semaine dernière, j'ai pris quelques jours de vacances.
Ah
En fait,
oui.
j'avais un pont. Hein, c'est
Mhm.
quand tu fais un long week-end. Et donc, c'était très bien. Je me suis reposé. J'en ai profité pour faire beaucoup de promenades. Ok. Et toi, comment vas-tu,
C'est bien,
Marc?
c'est bien. Je suis bien content que tu sois reposé. Moi, ça va. J'ai un rhume un petit peu.
Ah oui, j'entends que tu as un rhume. Dis donc, tu n'as pas trop. Sinon, tu n'es pas chanceux là. Hein.
Non,
Et qu'est-ce que tu prends pour le rhume alors? Tu as pris des médicaments?
des médicaments, bien sûr, et de l'air frais, si je peux. C'est
Bien
important
sûr,
aussi.
bien sûr. Et si je peux me permettre, Marc, mon grand-père avait un remède pour le rhume.
Mhm.
Ou
C'était
peut-être
lequel?
était-ce une excuse, je ne sais pas.
Ok.
Il disait toujours il fallait du rhum pour le rhume.
Ah, ok. Ok.
D'accord? Du rhum pour le rhume. Et, et donc, ça peut aider. Puis un vendredi soir, tu peux te le permettre.
I think that sounds like a good idea. I'm just mentioning here, I don't seem to be getting any comments through on our system from Facebook. So if the team can let me know if there are any comments on Facebook, then we can share them here. But I'm not getting any comments at the moment, just based on the new way we're doing this. But anyway, you're all very welcome here to another Coffee Break French Live. Today we are going to be doing a dictation. Now, a dictation is a different kind of exercise. It's basically something that will allow you to practice your spelling, practice your grammar. Um, I'm completely distracted here by a comment that's coming in. Du rhum avec miel from someone on YouTube. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Anyway, let's get back to our dictation. Our dictation exercise is a fantastic exercise to allow us to basically develop the consciousness about spelling in French. We really need to think about the ways in which French is spelled. And obviously, there are some tricky little aspects of French with agreements and things like that. So, what's going to happen today is Pierre-Benoît is going to read a story and we are going to write it down. So, that's why we suggest that you should grab a pen and paper or something to take notes on over the course of this session. Now, I can see that we have hellos coming from Liz in Sydney, Paula in Torquay, Ariel in Tel Aviv, Julia in Sydney, Vera from Nigeria. We've got Kim in Brisbane. I'm sorry I can't put these on the screen today, but it's good to see you all here. We're delighted that you're able to join us. Pierre-Benoît, do you want to explain a little about the punctuation side of things for dictation?
Yeah. Okay. So when our listeners hear the word point, okay, point à la ligne, or point, that means there'll be a stop at the end of the sentence. Okay. And we also have the word virgule. And what's a virgule, Mark?
A virgule is a comma. So if
Très
Pierre-Benoît
bien.
says virgule as he's reading this dictation, don't write the word virgule, just put a
No.
comma in.
We also have deux points, deux petits points, deux points, and
Yeah.
that's your column.
Hmm.
And point virgule, so that's a combination. Okay, and that's a semicolon.
Oui.
And we'll be using as well un point d'interrogation, that's your question
Question
mark,
mark.
and un point d'exclamation, and that's your exclamation mark.
Fantastic. So, as I said, Pierre-Benoît is going to read this story and he's going to be putting in the punctuation so that you can write down this punctuation. It's a very traditional type of exercise, something that's been done in language learning for many, many years. And I think it's a fantastic tool, a fantastic activity to help you really focus on the pronunciation, on the spelling, and the grammar of the language. We have lots more hellos. Let me just bring this slide back. So we've got hellos from Angelique. We've got Bronwyn. We've got Gary joining us from the Vaucluse. Lee in Carcassonne. Julia in Portsmouth. Gillian in Lacey Green. Nick in Coimère rather. We've got Marie in Ogny. We have Paul in Perthshire, Heidi in London, Yondan in Anglesey, And lots of you joining us this morning for this live broadcast. Now, if you're watching this after the event, then you're also very welcome. But this is a live one that we are doing in the morning here. It's 9:30 in the UK, so we are just about ready to begin. Now, our clock has reached 0, which means it is time to begin. Alors, Pierre-Benoît, tu es prêt?
Moi, je suis toujours prêt.
Moi aussi, je suis prêt. If you have any questions throughout this, make sure you pop them in the comments and we'll definitely be able to answer any questions afterwards. Alors, si on est prêt, allez, c'est parti. Okay. We are doing our dictation. We've got 20 minutes on the clock. That means that we are going to be listening, first of all, to the whole story. So this time, just listen carefully. Don't write anything. Listen to what Pierre-Benoît says. This is to give you a feel for the story so that you know what you're thinking, what you're listening for. And then we're going to split it up sentence by sentence. And with each sentence, we'll hear it 3 times in total. So Pierre-Benoît will read each sentence slowly, once, a second time. We'll give you a little bit of time to think about that and write it down, and then you'll hear it one more time before we move on to the next sentence. Does that all make sense, Pierre-Benoît?
Moi, c'est très bien. Donc, it makes sense, perfect sense, okay, because I'll give our listeners time to write down what they can hear, and they can focus as well on what's coming next, because it's not only a dictation, it's also a very interesting listening skill, kind of a practice.
Indeed. And just on that point, what I would say is if you don't recognise a word, leave a space and move on. Yeah. Obviously, the first time through, you're just hearing the full presentation. You're hearing the full story. Don't listen for there's no punctuation this time. It's just the full story, and then we'll split it up sentence by sentence. So don't write anything yet. Pierre-Benoît, take it away for our story.
Jules n'habite plus à Honolulu. Il a dû rentrer en France il y a 4 ans et espère pouvoir y retourner très bientôt. Il en parle de plus en plus, et pour son anniversaire en juin, quand il fêtera ses 30 ans, il voudrait bien y aller avec sa meilleure amie, Lucie, qui travaille avec lui. Il pourrait partir 15 jours, et Jules pourrait lui faire visiter les coins intéressants, lui montrer où il a vécu, et lui présenter ses amis. La vie nocturne dans le sud de l'île resterait une expérience unique. Jules serait ravi de retrouver l'atmosphère chaleureuse des bars et des restaurants qui bordent la plage en forme de croissant. Il pourrait louer une voiture pour être plus libre et s'arrêter pour bronzer quelques heures. Il pourrait aussi prendre des photos des endroits les plus pittoresques et peut-être apercevoir une de ces énormes tortues d'Honolulu. Voilà.
Très bien, très bien. Okay, so you've heard the full story, and what we're going to do now is split it up sentence by sentence. So once again, Pierre-Benoît will read each sentence once, very slowly, so that you can write it down as you hear. If you don't get a word, don't worry, leave a blank, move on, and then you'll hear it again. And then we will give you some time, and you'll hear it a third time after that. Okay? So, Pierre-Benoît, let's hear the first sentence now.
Jules n'habite plus à Honolulu. Point. Jules n'habite plus à Honolulu. Point.
So just a reminder, don't write down that word at the end. That's just your piece of punctuation, okay? We've left the punctuation on the screen so that you can see that. So just in a few seconds, we'll hear that one more time.
Jules n'habite plus à Honolulu. Point.
Okay, I think it's time now to look at what this sentence looks like. Here we have it. Jules n'habite plus à Honolulu. So there are a few things in here, and one of the wonderful things about French is that all these silent letters. So plus, there should be an S on the end of that. Jules, with an S on the end, n'habite plus à Honolulu. Jules no longer lives in Honolulu. Straightforward enough.
Yeah, and the N apostrophe mark with the plus was a kind of the clue there for no longer.
So ne plus. Très bien. Okay, let's take the next sentence. It's a little longer, so we'll hear it again 3 times, and you can write it down as you listen.
Il a dû rentrer en France il y a 4 ans et espère pouvoir y retourner très bientôt. Point d'exclamation.
Okay, let's hear that one again.
Il a dû rentrer en France il y a 4 ans et espère pouvoir y retourner très bientôt. Point d'exclamation.
So obviously a little longer, that sentence. Again, don't worry about words that you don't understand. You can leave a space and move on. And if you are not sure about a particular word, again, with this exercise, you can just guess it from how it sounds. Pierre-Benoît, can you read that sentence again, please?
Il a dû rentrer en France il y a 4 ans et espère pouvoir y retourner très bientôt. Point d'exclamation.
Okay, I've lost track. Was that our second or third time?
That was the third time, Mark.
That was the third time.
That was it.
Okay.
We've done it 3 times.
In that case, let's look at what it looks like. Il a dû rentrer en France il y a 4 ans. So he had to return to France 4 years ago, il y a 4 ans, et espère pouvoir y retourner très bientôt. And he hopes to be able to return to Honolulu très bientôt. So the I there is referring to the place we've previously mentioned, Honolulu in Hawaii. Il a dû rentrer en France. He had to, and watch your circumflex on dû. Il a dû rentrer en France.
Yeah.
Il y a 4 ans. Et espère, what's your grave accent there on the middle I, espère pouvoir y retourner très bientôt.
Grave accent.
Grave accent on très and the circumflex on bientôt. And your exclamation mark at the end, the point d'exclamation. Okay, what I'd like to know is how this is going so far. If you're getting everything right, pop a 3 in the comments. If you're getting most things right, making a couple of mistakes, put a 2 in the comments. And if you are getting a few more things right, or a few less things right perhaps, put a 1, just so that we know how things are going so far. So I'd love to see some comments. I can see the Facebook comments and I can see the YouTube comments, so we'll get a good idea whether this is going well. Good stuff. Let's move on to our next sentence, please, Pierre-Benoît.
Yeah, it's a longer sentence, so we need to do one here, okay? But I'll take it slowly. Il en parle de plus en plus et pour son anniversaire en juin, quand il fêtera ses 30 ans, virgule, il voudrait bien y aller avec sa meilleure amie Lucie, virgule, qui travaille avec lui. Point.
Okay, good stuff. Let's hear this again.
Il en parle de plus en plus et pour son anniversaire en juin, quand il fêtera ses 30 ans, virgule, Il voudrait bien y aller avec sa meilleure amie, Lucie, virgule, qui travaille avec lui. Point.
Okay. If you're just joining us, we are doing a dictation exercise here. So as Pierre-Benoît reads this out, you should be writing this down. It's a story, and there are different sentences in the story. We're taking it sentence by sentence. I realise people are joining this all the time, and you might be wondering what on earth is going on. Why is Pierre-Benoît speaking so slowly? Okay, Pierre-Benoît, one more time on this sentence, please.
Il en parle de plus en plus et pour son anniversaire en juin, quand il fêtera ses 30 ans, virgule, il voudrait bien y aller avec sa meilleure amie, Lucie, virgule, qui travaille avec lui. Point.
Super. Let's have a look at this sentence then and how it looks on the screen. Il en
That's quite a long
parle.
one.
It's a long one, it is. Il en parle de plus en plus et pour son anniversaire en juin, quand il fêtera ses 30 ans, il voudrait bien y aller avec sa meilleure amie Lucie qui travaille avec lui. So he's speaking about it more and more, de plus en plus.
Yeah.
And for his birthday in June, when he will celebrate his 30 years, when he'll turn 30, il voudrait bien y aller. He would really like to go there with his best friend Lucie and watch meilleure with an agreement there, sa meilleure amie, because it's a feminine thing, sa meilleure amie Lucie, qui travaille avec lui, who works with him. So Pierre-Benoît, anything you want to pick up in this sentence?
No, I think you did very well with the agreement here for meilleur, because that's not very easy. The clue was sa here, that helped. Okay, sa meilleure amie. And then Lucie, the name, helped as well. Okay. Yeah. Fêtera was tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, because we don't really say fêtera. So fêtera, maybe some of our listeners forgot the E after the T. Mm-hmm. But if you recognized in context the future of fêter, then I'm sure you got that right. Yeah. Okay, just remember fête or fêter's got a circumflex accent on the first E.
Very often when we have a circumflex, it means that in older French, 30... sorry, I got just distracted there, sorry. In older French, the S was in there. So festival, you know, it is linked to festivities, festivals.
Festivities,
and so
yeah, that's what I was thinking about,
so,
yeah.
Fêtera.
Good.
The reason I got a little bit distracted was we had a question there. Hopefully 30 is spelled 30. It is indeed, yeah. We should perhaps have written that in letters. 30 ans. Avec quand il fêtera ses 30 ans. So thank you, wannabe actuary one. Okay, let's go on to our next sentence. And I'm conscious that our time is ticking away here. We're not going to worry too much about the time today. We may go over our 20 minutes, but I'm sure no one will mind. Okay, take the next sentence, Pierre-Benoît, please.
Il pourrait partir 15 jours et Jules pourrait lui faire visiter les coins intéressants, virgule, lui montrer où il a vécu et lui présenter ses amis. Point. Il pourrait partir 15 jours et Jules pourrait lui faire visiter les coins intéressants, virgule, lui montrer où il a vécu et lui présenter ses amis. Point.
Okay.
Some tricky wee things there.
Yeah, yeah, there are. Hope this is all making sense. Again, if you're just joining us, this is a dictation exercise. Pierre-Benoît was reading out sentence by sentence this passage, and you can write it down. If you don't recognise a word, leave a space and move on. One more time then, Pierre-Benoît, for that sentence.
Il pourrait partir 15 jours et Jules pourrait lui faire visiter les coins intéressants, virgule, lui montrer où il a vécu et lui présenter ses amis. Point.
Super. Now, I think this is possibly one of the trickier sentences in this passage. It starts with il pourrait partir. Now, this is where we're trying to work out what's going on here. Are we talking about just Jules, or is it both Jules and Lucie? If it's both Jules and Lucie, then that's why we need that plural verb, il pourrait, because ultimately in French, il pourrait, singular, I-L-P-O-U-R-R-A-I-T, and il pourrait, plural, with the form you see on the screen here, sound exactly the same.
Exactly the same. So it's the context that tells you, that there's going to be here a plural, because both of them could go away for a fortnight.
Exactly. So, il pourrait partir 15 jours. They could go away for 2 weeks, for 15 days literally, for a fortnight. Et Jules pourrait lui faire visiter les coins intéressants. So, here we've got Jules on his own. Pourrait, so it's a singular verb this time. Jules pourrait lui faire visiter. He could make her visit, or show her, les coins intéressants. So the interesting corners, literally, the interesting places. Lui montrer où il a vécu. Show her where he lived, où il a vécu. That's the past
And the accent on the où.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So where, remember, accent on the où means where. Without an accent on où, it just means or. So, où il a vécu, vécu, the past participle of the verb voir.
Vivre,
Ignore
vivre,
that, no?
vivre, Marc. Mais ça, c'est les symptômes du rhume, ça,
that's
c'est normal.
what it is, yeah. So, where he lived, où il a vécu, from vivre, et lui présenter ses amis, and present to him, introduce himself to his friends. So watch the présenter, the acute accent there.
Or that would be rather like introduce her to his friends that he's got over there.
Yeah, sorry.
Lui présenter ses amis. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, sorry.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So a tricky sentence. Let us keep giving us the threes, twos, and ones. It's always good to know how this is going, if you're feeling confident with this, if it's really tricky, or if it's kind of in the middle. So 3 for it's all going really well, 2 middly, and 1 is quite tricky. And without a doubt, this is quite tricky. We should always mention that we've got people who have just started French watching this, people who have been doing French for many, many years. So it's whatever you can pick out here, even if you can get a few words, that's the important thing. Good.
And bravo, a big bravo for those who got pourrait, the 2 pourrait verbs right, because obviously that was quite tricky in that. So.
Good to see these numbers coming in. I love Paul's accuracy here. He got 2.75, so that's very, very good. I like that, Paul. Thank you. Right, let's go on to our next sentence. We've got a couple of sentences to go here.
La vie nocturne dans le sud de l'île resterait une expérience unique. Point. A shorter one, just.
Shorter sentence, yep. So, one more time.
La vie nocturne dans le sud de l'île resterait une expérience unique. Point.
Okay, so we are going to hear this one more time. Thank you. Thank you.
La vie nocturne dans le sud de l'île resterait une expérience unique. Point.
Super. Okay, so let's have a look at what that one looks like. La vie nocturne.
Couple of tricky bits. You know, le sud de l'île and resterait.
Yeah.
That's quite tricky, and I did exaggerate the resterait so you would get the conditional.
Mm-hmm. So la vie nocturne, the nightlife, dans le sud de l'île, in the south of the island. Now watch this, l'île, the island, L apostrophe, I circumflex L-E. That's not le sud de Lille. We're not talking about the city of Lille in northern France or anything like that. Dans le sud de Lille resterait une expérience unique. It would remain a unique experience. Okay, so la vie nocturne dans le sud de l'île resterait une expérience unique. Okay, let's move on to our next sentence.
Jules serait ravi de retrouver l'atmosphère chaleureuse des bars et des restaurants qui bordent la plage en forme de croissant. Point.
Ok, encore une fois.
Jules serait ravi de retrouver l'atmosphère chaleureuse des bars et des restaurants qui bordent la plage en forme de croissant. Point.
Okie doke. We'll hear this one more time and then we'll take a look at what this sentence looks like.
Jules serait ravi de retrouver l'atmosphère chaleureuse des bars et des restaurants qui bordent la plage en forme de croissant. Point.
Super. Okay, let's have a look at the sentence. Again, we realize that our time has run out, but we're continuing on, don't worry. Jules serait ravi de retrouver l'atmosphère chaleureuse des bars et des restaurants. So Jules would be delighted to find once more the warm atmosphere of the bars and restaurants qui bordent la plage en forme de croissant, which border the beach. So these are the bars and restaurants which are right up at the sand on the beach en forme de croissant, like a croissant. So they're just basically like a semicircle like that. Okay, anything there in particular that we need to look out for?
No, it was difficult, the board, because obviously it's the bars and the restaurant that are kind of flanked or by the beach, okay? So it's got to be a plural, you know, it's not the atmosphère chaleureuse. So maybe some of our listeners put maybe B-O-R-D-E when it's actually D-E-N-T. It's les bars et les restaurants qui bordent.
Yeah.
So that was quite tricky, that.
Exactly. I think Yondan's mentioning that the difference between the il and il plural when you're hearing the conjugated verbs, it is tricky to hear that. In fact, it's impossible to hear that. So you really need to take it from the context. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing exercises like these in our session here. Okay, so let's continue on. We have got two more sentences to go. Next sentence, Pierre-Benoît, please.
Oui. Okay, I'm going to give you a clue here. You can get a bit of help from a previous sentence. Il pourrait louer une voiture pour être plus libre et s'arrêter pour bronzer quelques heures. Point.
Okay, one more time.
Il pourrait louer une voiture pour être plus libre et s'arrêter pour bronzer quelques heures. Point.
Okay, so you're thinking here about who are we talking about? Il pourrait. Is it just one person or is it more than one person? And that's going to have a role to play in how this is written. Okay, so let's hear it one more time for this sentence, please.
Il pourrait louer une voiture pour être plus libre et s'arrêter pour bronzer quelques heures. Point.
Okay, so let's take a look at the sentence. We asked...
I thought we'd heard it 4 times, Mark. I thought I'd read it 4 times. Maybe it was only 3 times.
I'm not sure. Il pourrait louer une voiture. So they could rent a car. They, so it's pourrait, A-I-E-N-T. Il pourrait louer une voiture. They could rent a car pour être plus libre. So libre has to agree as well with the plural there. They could rent a car in order to be more free. Et s'arrêter pour bronzer quelques heures. And they could also, this is also dependent on the pourrait, they could stop to sunbathe for a few hours, quelques heures.
Très bien.
So just
Très bien, très bien. I think here the quelques heures was the tricky one because of the liaison, it's quite hard to know if it's only one word or two words, or it could cause problem. Quelques heures. You wouldn't say quelques heures. So I had to do the liaison here.
Good. Okay, I'm aware we've got some questions. We will get to the questions, but let's just finish off our paragraph with one more sentence, please, Pierre-Benoît.
Okay. Il pourrait aussi prendre des photos des endroits les plus pittoresques et peut-être apercevoir une de ces énormes tortues d'Honolulu. Point d'exclamation.
Okay, now Pierre-Benoît's internet just went a little bit wobbly there in the middle of that, so we'll hear it again, please.
Désolé.
No, t'inquiète.
Il pourrait aussi prendre des photos des endroits les plus pittoresques et peut-être apercevoir une de ces énormes tortues d'Honolulu. Point d'exclamation.
Now, if you were listening to our pronunciation live a couple of weeks ago, then you'll have heard mention of the tortue d'Honolulu that I think Pierre-Benoît's maybe made up.
Well, the two sounds were working on the R sound and the U sound. So I think here you can see there are loads of sounds with the letter R and the letter U.
Absolutely. Let's hear this sentence one more time, please.
Il pourrait aussi prendre des photos des endroits les plus pittoresques et peut-être apercevoir une de ces énormes tortues d'Honolulu. Point d'exclamation. Et c'est fini.
C'est fini. Let's have a look then at this sentence. So we're back to il pourrait. They could also prendre des photos, take some photos, and watch the S on the end of photo. Des endroits les plus pittoresques. That's a tricky word to spell. They could take some photos of the most picturesque places, pittoresque, and we need the agreement on there because it's des endroits, plural, S at the end. Les plus pittoresques, S at the end. Et peut-être apercevoir, they could also notice, they could spot, une de ces énormes tortues d'Honolulu. One of these enormous tortoises of Honolulu that we've mentioned before. And just watch ces énormes tortues. These. It's not ces as in S-E-S. And again, that's the tricky thing about French because so many words sound the same, but you need to know which one it is from the context.
And I think also again because of the liaison can be sometimes can put you off, off track. Because when you say une de ces énormes, it's not like okay, how do I spell this? Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's good. I'm sure you've done very well. I'm sure you have.
Let us know whether it's a 3, a 2, or a 1 overall. We are really keen to hear how this went for you. Let me just bring us both back on the
also,
screen.
if you enjoyed it, because I want to know if this kind of exercise is something that you're looking for as well. Do you think it's useful? I think it is for the sake of listening, writing, and still listening to the next bit, just like translators have to do, in parliaments and.
Indeed. We've got some questions and some comments here. I apologise for reading these off my phone, but I like this from Rachel, who said, this morning I was teaching my daughter ou and ou, so ou, where, and ou with or without the accent. And I asked her how she would remember the difference. She said that in where there was a silent H, so she would remember that there was a silent accent in ou.
Oh, super.
Clever little monkey, as Rachel says. So yeah, that's a great way. Thank you, Rachel, for that. So Emma's saying it's great for listening skills, this particular type of exercise. Anne's enjoying it for the listening. Kay missed the board with the ENT on the end, and as did Paula. Lee got nearly a 3. Excellent. Paula's asking, how do you know that the il is plural there? See if we jump back to this slide. Il pourrait partir 15 jours. The sentence before that mentioned il voudrait bien y aller avec sa meilleure amie Lucie. So we've mentioned both people, and therefore that's why we know it is il pourrait plural verb. Yeah. We could argue that we could just be talking about Jules going on his own, and therefore it would be a singular verb. But I think it makes sense to have the plural verb there.
Yes, if I can chip in here, I think because you've got the avec, then you know both of them are going to go. And then after that, in that following sentence, I think he says Jules pourrait lui montrer.
Yeah.
So then lui, I know it sounds like it could be him, but it's actually it's her here. It's an indirect one, and obviously it means it's going to be Lucie. So that's where suddenly you think no, that they could go together for a fortnight. It makes more sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's in context. I suppose in English sometimes you have the same problem with you and you being, is it a singular or plural? I don't know. Sometimes you think, is it one person they're talking about? Is it many people? Obviously for the spelling it's not a problem, but for understanding what you're talking about, not always easy.
Perfect. Good. Gillian's saying, sorry, my writing speed is very poor. I need to practice. That time I was quicker. Good. So it's all about practice and getting more practice at this. Jane also saying maybe more thinking time. That's one of the things that we were wondering about when we were preparing this. Obviously, big long silences can be a little bit awkward, especially when Pierre-Benoît on his own on the screen there. But don't know what he's going to start doing. But it's also
faces
a little bit when we're doing these. I guess we sort of feel we need to fill the spaces, but maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should leave the space for you to think and write. But if someone suddenly joins us and there's just silence, it might be a little strange. So that's why we do tend to fill these spaces.
And actually, in the comments, it would be very useful if our listeners could tell us if they thought the pace, the speed I was reading the sentences. Was it suitable? Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Obviously, depending on your level, you will say, "Oh, that was too fast," or too slow. But kind of overall, do you think it was? Did you have time to write down? Because as I was reading it, I was thinking, I'm writing this at the same time. So that's how it slowed down, Mark.
Yeah. So we try to aim for the first time slow, the second time slow, and then the third time a little quicker. But let us know if that worked. And again, everyone's at a different level, so probably everyone's got different thoughts on that. Graham's saying excellent practice in listening and writing correctly. Lou is saying très intéressant, merci beaucoup. Julie is saying 2.7 dans l'ensemble, très bien. Lee.
I don't get the marking.
I love this. Lee is saying, a bit more than 2. In my defence, I have a workman digging up the floor in the bathroom, so very noisy. Love the exercise, though, just what I need. Brilliant. Kim saying, understood more than I thought I would. Very useful. Emma, 1, but I'm a beginner. Been learning French for less than a year. Found this great help. Brilliant. So great exercise for listening from Kelly. Thank you for all of these comments. The pace was really good from Karen, and I think there was plenty of time to think. Nick saying maybe breaking the sentences up into shorter chunks would be better, as some sentences were very long. Good stuff. Graham, writing can be a bit short, but reading 3 times is okay to fill in the gaps. Great stuff. We will read all of these comments afterwards to make sure we're picking up on everything. One thing that I need to pick up on is the fact that I said that the beach was in the shape of a croissant, which it was, but a croissant is also a crescent. So I was focused. I think it's probably because I've not really had any breakfast this morning, so maybe I'm just thinking of the croissant.
That's it. You're missing your wee croissant.
Just coming back to YouTube for our comments here. So, Sima saying, j'ai écrit Lucille with the double L-E. So, Pierre-Benoît, is there a difference between Lucille and Lucie in the pronunciation?
Lucille. Yeah, you would hear Lucille.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you would hear like in ville.
Yeah. The I-double-L-E at the
It's
end
Lucille.
can be quite tricky in French because sometimes you pronounce it as a il and sometimes it's I. So Lucie, Lucille. With Lucille, we would get the L sound in there.
And even if it was Lucie, you would hear the Y sound, which you don't have in Lucie. It's just an E sound.
Exactly. So language learning experience is saying 2.75 for me. It was always the il. I just hear il, the singular. Yeah, it's very, very common mistake.
Tricky.
I'm just reading through all of these. Speed was okay. Found it a little fast. Pas plus vite, not too fast. Wannabe actually saying I felt it was too slow. Thinks perhaps the original whole dialogue should be fast and 3 dictated sentences as they were. But quite right to say, reminding me that the listening is more about context rather than the words.
Yeah.
Now, remember, you can use this again, so you could work your way through this again and try it again, try the whole exercise again, because that's a good way of practicing to see what you get next time round. So you could always watch this again, or if you're joining us afterwards, you can pause and you can stop the thing and watch it as you desire. We are going to leave it there. Thank you very much for all your feedback this morning. We really appreciate that. We hope that you found this enjoyable. What we've been trying to do over the past few weeks and months on our lives is try different things, and it's very much to see what works, what doesn't work so well. And we've now tried some reading context, we've tried some listening comprehension, we've tried some pronunciation. We've tried a dictation now. Next time we're going to be doing some translation sentences like what we were doing earlier in the year. And then we've also got another listening before the holidays. So we hope you're looking forward to that. The one other thing I wanted to mention is the fact that this is a big week for us here at Coffee Break Languages, because we are in the middle of our Black Friday sale. Now, if you've wondered about our online courses and what you get with our online courses in comparison to our free podcasts and so on, then you should attend a session that we're running this afternoon. And that's focused on French, and we're going to be introducing you to the Coffee Break Academy and what's involved in the Coffee Break Academy, and we'll be showing you behind the scenes, as it were, of some of these courses. So that will allow you to see whether the online courses are something that you would be interested in versus just the free podcast. Obviously, we offer lots of free content like this session here, but if you'd like more of this kind of content and more online courses, then our Coffee Break Academy offers all of that. And the crucial thing is that all of that is at 40% off at the moment this week. So 40% discount on everything that we have to offer. And to access that, all you need to use is use the coupon code BF2020 at checkout. So make sure you're using that coupon code, and that way you will get 40% off all of our courses this week.
Yeah.
As I said, 3:30 this afternoon UK time, so that will be 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Probably if you're in Australia, you will be in bed at that point. But we hope that you'll be able to pick it up at some point. You can watch that after the event. But do join us then if you'd like to find out more about everything that we are offering in our Coffee Break Academy. Pierre-Benoît, qu'est-ce que tu vas faire aujourd'hui? Qu'est-ce que tu as
Aujourd'hui, je travaille, donc j'ai des choses à écrire, j'ai pas mal de choses à préparer, et puis plus tard, je crois qu'on a aussi un autre enregistrement, donc c'est très bien.
Super.
Voilà, tout va bien.
Tout va bien.
Et puis j'espère quand même en soirée, ou dans la soirée, essayer de faire une petite promenade juste pour prendre l'air.
Pour prendre l'air, c'est important.
Ouais.
Et prendre
l'air, c'est très important.
Donc,
et toi, j'espère aussi que tu vas prendre l'air et te verser un petit verre d'eau chaude, bouillante même, avec un petit peu de miel. Et puis plus tard dans la soirée, tu pourras faire la même chose, mais tu pourras ajouter un petit peu de rhum. De rhum, parce que le rhum pour le rhume, il n'y a rien de mieux.
Super.
Voilà.
Bon, merci beaucoup et bonne journée à tout le monde.
Au revoir, à la prochaine.
Salut.